Hey there, YouTubers. What I'm about to show you is a couple different modifications you can make on your sandblast cabinets, and were real game changers for me. Several different features, and we'll go over them step by step. And anyway, I don't really ask anyone to subscribe to me. Get a couple of likes, maybe that'd be nice, and don't flame me too hard in the comments. I'm just a do-it-yourselfer. I retired from the aerospace industry for TIG welding and machining, upholstery too. But anyway, further ado, we'll just get back to the sandblast features, and we'll go one by one. Thank you. One of the first things I did when I got the sandblaster cabinet assembly, I put it on swivel casters, and I got it high enough where it's comfortable to sandblast. The last thing you want to do is bend over all the time or reaching up too high. So the electrical part, I made a couple of wind hooks here. I could have did a recoil assembly, but keep it simple, you know. So I got a 20-foot cord here to go remote anywhere in my shop. I got a gain set here, a box that runs the bottom switch here will run this outlet here, and that's my vacuum cleaner. And this one is live all the time, so I got this switch here rigged up to my LED lighting, and so I have that on, but this outlet is live all the time in case I need it for something remote. And I'll show the lighting, and I'll include on my descriptions where I got the LED strip lights. And let's take another look inside the lights. Okay, I'm going to try to demonstrate the lighting. Yeah, I know the camera will compensate for the auto light, and here I'm just going to trigger the light going on. It really brightens it up inside. Unlike the two old-fashioned heat lamp bulbs you get burnt with. Yeah, it really brings her out nice. And it did do an auto dim, but that's, you really have no shadows at all inside. Really, really nice. Okay, with the door open on the end here, you can almost see where I have the routing for the blow nozzle. It's stored up on top. And the internal strip lights, I got one on each side. They're magnetic, but also I did pop rivet them up in place. They're a T configuration, and the transformer is outside. There are protective covers you can get with them, and some guys already got them for their sandblast cabinets, and it's really kind of a nice asset to that. So here I'll turn the switch on. Again, the camera will compensate for that. So yeah, really a nice, clean, and no shadows at all. It really brightens her up. In actuality, I'm going to try to, this is about what I see right now. I'm compensating right now, but really lights her up nice. This angle also shows where the inlets are coming in here and drawing the dust away from the window to the exhaust manifold I got down here. So the dust, I did do a trial and error deal. I put a big pan of, some guys are burning like a cloth and getting smoke in there. I just put a pan in there with baby powder in there, and I hit the air on that, and it instantly filled the place up with baby powder residue floating around. And within seconds, with that vacuum cleaner, it cleared it out. It drew everything from here. And this is about the best. I did try with a window open at the top for the vent up there, inlet, or on the bottom. It didn't seem like it did too much difference, but so I compromised and put the inlet is right around the midsection of the window and drawing the stuff out. Okay, so one of the biggest features I always wanted with a small sandblast cabinet is that more capacity, or to get your large items in and out. It does have a small door in the end, and so I went one step more and I actually split the case in half, and to make it a flip top where you can put all your items inside, which is really, really nice. As long as we're here, the different I changed the intake for the vacuum system was here, and I made a plenum with different slots here to actually evacuate any dust out of here. And these are the same square area as the exit for the vacuum port. On the intake, I have on the upper vents on the top that brings the air in, and when it's in operation, it will go in here and draw the dust away from the window and draw out through the exhaust on the back through the vacuum port, and I'll talk about here in a little bit. Another modification I did, besides having the clamshell cabinet, is to make easy access to changing the gloves and actually the inner window protective plastic. So what I did, I hinged the window frame. I made a separate window frame and I hinged it on the front so I can actually change everything out. I can change the window protective plastic real good, easy, and then easy for the gloves to change out. I did make this metal window frame, and I got inside, I have the bolts. They're 1032 by 1.5 inch machine screws, and I got a nut on the inside that holds it in place. And so then as far as the nuts to change the glass in the window frame, I can actually remove these brass knurled nuts, take it off, and quick change everything. And I got welding clamps that holds her in place to keep a nice good seal. This next feature I have is where it exits that manifold on the inside of the suction area of the vacuum, goes up the T and out. I got a 2-inch elbow, I guess, goes down here. And I do, if you look, I got one of these, they call them a tornado or a vortice type deal. There's people making these things, and there's plans on that. I just, with Time Factor, I just bought one. I think it's right around $40. Pretty common. Just Google vacuum vortices or whatever. And what it does, it creates, with the line coming from the vacuum cleaner, it creates a vortice in there and drops into a holding area. A lot of guys use 5-gallon buckets. I have a clear container here, and I can see as it fills up that I can just flip it off and dump that out, easy enough. And the vacuum cleaner, it doesn't do anything, it just draws it out, creates a whirlpool. And the guys that use this, they claim they hardly ever have to clean the filter on their vacuum cleaner. And the old original vacuum system was a double tier, and well, that's scrap iron right now. This is so much better. The only problem I have, well, here, if I have to tilt the clamshell cabinet open, all I got to do is loosen up a quick clamp, or a clamp here, a screw clamp there, pull that off, and then tilt it over. But yeah, pretty good system. I'll have to come up with some type of a quick change or a quick release clamps on those two there. This is permanent. I cut the hose down to fit that. And again, there's many configurations. eBay sells a whole bunch of that. If I can try to find the original place where I got it, I guess I'll put it in the description. But yeah, it's just a small holding area. Just confined with my cart, I guess. So, yeah. So when I first got this sandblasting cabinet, it was owned by my previous employer, and some of the younger guys that ran it said it just quit working, and without it being troubleshooted and find out, they just ordered a new one. And the dumpster diver that I am, I recovered it since they threw it out, and I converted the hopper. There used to be a trap door on here, and it was a siphon-fed situation where the gun would actually siphon out of the bottom of where all the media is stored. Well, when I took it apart, all that was a matter was there was a bolt stuck in the pickup tube, and that's all they had to find. But to my advantage, I took it home and converted it to a new style metering system that they have now. I TIG welded this whole bottom end to fit into the hopper. It was a trapdoor situation before, just for clean out. And now they have a metering type of a system, and I'll include that in on the description there, where you can link to get these things. You can buy this whole setup ready-made, or you can build your own, which a lot of guys are doing. What I had done, I TIG welded this all together, and it's a 1-inch pipe thread. I made a cross instead of just a T, so I can clean out in both directions. And then I welded a 1/8-inch pipe nipple there, and this is a metering valve to meter your air to media ratio. And then I put a couple of bell in here, and then you got to be really careful. I JB welded and machined, or actually I just machined the brass fitting and this bell so that it would make a smooth transition, so the glass beads, which I use, will go through there through the pickup tube. And this just is metered. Once you get it set, you meter the air to media ratio with this valve here. Okay, from the suction line coming from the metering valve, I went up into the lower half of the clamshell cabinet. If I had to do this over again, I would probably move these over to the right a little bit. This is your media hose. It's the Flex Ella type, real flexible hose. They're rubber hoses. And then I have coming from my regulator. This regulator is 1/2-inch pipe threads. It's the large inlet and outlet. And I got a T on the exit side of the regulator, and I just put a Street 90 on the regulator so I can see the pressure. And I got it teed off. One's going into my foot valve, and the other T is a smaller line that goes in the cabinet for I have a gun that just for blowing off items. Now the foot valve, I'll put that link in the description. There's quite a bit of them out there. It's just a small valve there, and it never did have a spring return, so I actually machined a spring for the return on that. The base I actually made from scratch. These are rubber cork stoppers. They're actually full rubber, and on my milling machine I used the end mill and I machined them. So, and then once I mounted on it, it doesn't move one bit. Yeah, it's a little high, but if I had to do it again, I'd probably make it, or get a foot valve where you just go vertical down on that to actuate it. The problem is the valves itself in here, kind of a small capacity, but I already ran tests on it. It's going to be adequate. So, in the inlet of the air hose going in, I got it straight 90 going down, so the hose comes from the floor and up to the regulator. And the bracket itself, I did custom make that bracket to mount on one of the legs. And I got a video of my CNC milling machine actually turning the threads. There are quite a large diameter threads in there to make that work. But very happy how it turned out so far on this end. I'm machining a bracket for my regulator for my sandblast cabinet. It's a special bracket, and the thread pitch is 16 threads per inch, which is the milling machine, the CNC milling machine is cutting right now. I wrote a program to cut the threads, and the handles are moving simultaneously so I can get the perfect pitch. Another feature I have here from the T of the regulator, I got a 3/8 inch air line, and I got a couple different storage hooks to whenever I'm not sandblasting, my hand blowgun is stowed at the top of it, and keeps it out of the way when it's when I'm not using it. And this in the back is it's just a clear window. This used to be the old air inlet, and it would channel down here and enter here and exit way up on top over there, which you're getting ridiculous cross flow. And meanwhile, your window is getting all fogged up. I have it going from the vents at the bottom, directing away from the window and going into the vacuum exit, this manifold I made. It channels off and up, and I made it go vertical instead of the vacuum cleaner here, so you don't suck the media up. It will actually, with gravity, the media will fall back down and without capturing it into the vacuum system. Okay, one thing I want to mention is about the media you put in there. What I run is glass beads, and this is 100 to 170 mesh, they call it, real fine media. A warning to those who mix media: if you have a fine media in there and change it out with a coarser, your coarse will always seem like it'll stay in there, and it may lead to problems in case you want to bead blast something that requires a lot finer. One example, up at the airport, we were cleaning pistons, and a guy came and put silica sand in without the guy knowing it, and he ruined a set of pistons right away, and or spark plugs with silica sand in there without him knowing it. It was very expensive. So when this starts, the vacuum starts, you're supposed to have a negative pressure inside, and a good indicator is how the gloves will inflate. The gloves will get pressure from the outside, and they'll inflate on their own. So check this out. So that's what you actually want. You want to have negative pressure on the inside. You want most of the media and dust go inside and then get into your dust collector. So that's what you need. There's guys that's built meters, manometers, I believe. I can't remember what they're called. Anyway, to monitor that, but a good indicator is inflated. The gloves will inflate to indicate negative pressure. So the way you adjust this style of sandblast gun is that you unhook the media hose, whatever sand or glass beads goes into the inlet, and you keep this hose attached. And I'm just showing you what is inside here. There's a manifold in here, and I'm just showing you what's inside here. The nozzles, they got different orifice size, and what we are doing, I'm going to set that down there and this down there. And so in the gun, we're adjusting this space in relationship with the ceramic cone to develop. Ideally, I've seen 15 inches of mercury, and but so once this is installed in the gun and all tied up with the O-ring in place, of course it doesn't want to thread when I'm on camera, and this gets adjusted. This goes all the way. Well, you have to find whatever it is once your air hose is hooked up, and this unhooked, you put in a vacuum gauge there, and you strive for the best vacuum. 15 inches of mercury is what it is, so that will go down to here with the air hose hooked. And what you're doing, you're adjusting whatever distance in between the nozzle and the manifold, I guess. So this is hooked up, and then this media hose is unhooked. So with full pressure on the pedal depressed and whatever air pressure you have, you're striving about 15 inches of mercury on your inlet side. Just a note, when I had my regulator and the foot pedal fully depressed, I was at 80 psi air going into my regulator, and actually it was lower than, it was down to like 10 or something like that. It wasn't until my ultimate pressure and the fishing for the right distance, I probably got about 14 inches of mercury there at 70 pounds pressure instead of 80. So more pressure doesn't mean more vacuum on my situation. It could be different than yours. But that's how you, once you have that set, you lock it in. And of course, everything else is reattached. The arrow always was, but you reattach your media hose there. Okay, another modification I did on this setup is I cut that straight in inlet, and I TIG welded the inlet for the air at a 45 to match the angle of the media hose coming in, so you're not fighting everything. So it's pretty much straight in on both of them. Okay. Okay, that about sums it up for this video. Extremely boring video of the modifications I did on my sandblast cabinet. If you got any additional mods or ideas, put them in the comments down below, and I appreciate all those. I'm strictly a novice at doing this. I say a lot of ahs a lot, you'll see that evidently. And I am planning on make an additional YouTube video on like TIG tips. I've been TIG welding in the aerospace industries for the last 17 years, and then 15 years prior to that. And but yeah, subscribe if you want. Likes are nice. Dislikes, hey, you know, I'm not perfect. Do what you want. It's your prerogative. So happy sandblasting, everyone. Thanks for watching. Thanks.